Tracy Matthews of Flourish and Thrive Academy, and I'm so excited to be here today with Genevieve Shingal. And we're going to be talking about employees versus independent contractors, what you need to know when adding to your team. Genevieve, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yay. So before we get started, I'm just going to do a little bit of an introduction about you. Is that cool?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So Genevieve is known as the affordable lawyer and has a passion for helping small businesses and entrepreneurs with all their legal stuff. She graduated magna cum laude, you're badass girl, from Pace Law School. And this is my favorite part, and was formerly a nationally competitive gymnast. Originally from Philadelphia, PA, she currently resides in NYC. Genevieve, thanks again for being here.
Of course, you're welcome.
Yay.
Yay.
So I'm so excited to talk to you because you've already done a contract for Flourish and Thrive Academy, and I know you'll be doing lots of contracts for us in the future. So one of the things that we get asked a lot by our students here is, what's the difference between an employee and an independent contractor? And can you give us a little bit of insight about that?
Yeah, that's a great question because there are big differences and have different tax implications. So it's important to know the difference.
Right.
So an independent contractor is it's kind of like a virtual assistant. It's somebody that works with you and works for you, but isn't like a full-time employee. You don't have to pay their taxes for them. You give them a 1099 at the end of the year or at the end of your relationship. You don't have to provide workers' compensation or health benefits.
Right.
So there's a lot of pluses and a lot of perks to having an independent contractor.
Right.
An employee has, more of a full-time or a part-time schedule. There's somebody that actually represents your company and your business. You can set their hours. You can set where they work, what they do. So the main difference is how much control you have over this person. So with an independent contractor, there's little to no control. So you can't dictate their schedule. You can't dictate where they do their work and how they do their work.
Right.
So you can say, you need to get done tasks A, B, and C, and you have to get it to me, in 72 hours. That's perfectly fine. But you can't say you have to work today from 9 to 5 and tomorrow from 9 to 5, and you have to be at this office,
Right.
and you have to, follow these steps that I'm laying out for you to get this job done. You can't do
Right.
that. So it's really just relinquishing that control on how and when things get done. With an employee, you get more control. You're totally in control of where they do their work, how they do their work, when they do their work. But then that comes with, you have to pay their tax, the federal income taxes, it comes out of their paycheck
Right.
first. You're responsible for workers' compensation. So if they get hurt on the job or
Right.
doing something related to the business, and depending on the state and how many employees you have, you could be responsible for their health benefits too.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so much info. I have just a little quick aside question. So is there any circumstances when you could have an independent contractor working at your place of business?
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
of course. You can't have like a set schedule for them though.
Right.
They can kind of help create the schedule with you and for you, but you can't dictate their hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's
Yeah.
great insight. So can you give us some scenarios of when it would be best to hire an employee and when it would be best to hire an independent contractor?
Yeah, of course. So if you have a business that is flourishing and thriving, to use your business name, and they're going to be a part of your business for a long time, an extended period of time, it's probably important to hire them as an employee because, you want to compensate them well, you want to keep them happy, you want to keep them on your team for a long time. And as I said, there's more benefits that come to being an employee
Right.
from the employee side. It's more work on the employer. If you're going to have somebody that is going to work for you, maybe for a year, maybe 6 months, doing casual projects here and there, it's better to have, an independent contractor. So if you're going to have a VA, so a virtual assistant, it's going to be an independent contractor
Right.
because they're probably working from home, checking your calendar, making some calls. But if you want to have an assistant at your office, answering the phone, running out, getting coffee, doing errands, stuff like that, then you'd have to hire them as an employee.
Okay, cool. So There was something I was going to ask about that. It'll come back to me. So tell me, what are some of the benefits of one over the other?
Yeah. So there's benefits on both sides. So I'll talk about the benefit as the employer first.
Right.
So as the employer, when you have an independent contractor, you don't have to, again, take care of their taxes, their benefits, workers' compensation.
Right.
It's more affordable as an employer. There's, it's less cost. You're not full-time, salarying a position for someone, stuff like that. As an employer, to have an employee, the benefits is that you really get to dictate what the person does and how they do it. So you have, again, that word control is so important when differentiating the two. So with an employee, you have all the control. So then a benefit for the employees now as an independent contractor is you as the employee or independent contractor working for this company can dictate how and when things get done. There's so much more freedom. You can work from home, you can work from the beach, wherever, as long as you're getting your job done. As an employee, the benefits would be that you get your health benefits. You have, workers' compensation. You have something protecting you. You're not responsible for your taxes. Your, employment taxes. That's taken care of by the employer. So again, kind of just the pros and cons of each are relatively the same, just when, differentiating the two and what they are. There's perks on both sides for both of them. Again, it just depends on that control.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. That's so awesome to hear. So I know you're big on contracts. So I want to hear, what kind of contracts do we need if we're going to hire an employee or hire an independent contractor?
Yeah. So with an employee, I do an offer letter. So I draft an employee offer letter, which acts as the contract. Mm-hmm. So all states, except for I believe it's Minnesota, you're an at-will employee when you enter into an employment agreement or have an employee offer letter, unless you're providing like a very specific nuanced service. If you're maybe like a nuclear physicist or something like that. So
not over here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, me neither. So you can just have this offer letter, which basically says, this is what we're going to pay you. This is kind of, it just lays out the rules and regulations and this kind of parameters of your employment. You don't have an employment contract because there is no contract. You're at will. You can be fired at any point in time, and you can quit at any point in time. That's what at will means.
Okay.
So I draft an employee offer letter, and the employee offer letter basically says, this is your position, this is when you're going to start, this is what you're getting paid, and it lays out everything like that. Now, whenever you have employees, you have to have an employee handbook. And the handbook lays out all the company policies, and it discusses workers' comp. It discusses vacation and sick days. It discusses health benefits. It talks about just everything that goes along with working for that company.
Awesome.
So those go hand in hand. An independent contractor just gets an independent contractor agreement. You're not an employee, so you're not at will. So this actually lays out everything. It lays out, your specific duties, who you will report to, how much you're getting paid, if you're getting paid at all, kind of states that you are an independent contractor, meaning you do not specifically work for this company and you can't bind the company into any agreement because you're not representing the company outside the capacity of the actual walls of the business. You can't just go out and say, hi, I represent this company. Would you like to enter into an agreement? You can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just like taking a note because I wanted to ask you something. I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
So like in your offer letter, you might have said this, but would you say that employment is at will?
Yes,
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, you lay that out. So it just says, you can be fired at any point in time for any reason, unless it's malicious or illegal, and that you can leave at any point in time. Some companies require 2 weeks notice. Technically, you don't have to give it, but it's, you should.
You could, right. And then I had one more question. And like, when is it good for them to sign? So I'm assuming that you'd have probably both parties, especially in a business like a jewelry business where there's a lot of intellectual property, maybe trade secrets being exchanged. Yeah. Do they have, would you recommend that even employees and contractors both have to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement?
Yes, I usually have a confidentiality NDA provision built into the actual offer letter or
Okay.
agreement, so it's already in there. Basically saying that anything you learn here at this job is the intellectual property of the company, and that when you leave here, you can't take it with you, you can't sell it, you can't, tell anyone about it.
Right.
You can't tell third parties. So I include that in there just because it's so important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Genevieve, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm really excited because you are going to be part of Multiply Your Profits, talking a little bit more in depth on this subject of employees versus contractors and which is right for you. So I'm very, very excited to have you as a contributor to our course. We're just going to wrap up now. So where can everyone find you, Genevieve?
Yeah, my website is genevieveshingle.com, spelled differently than the normal Genevieve. So it's Genevieve, shingle, like the roof, SHINGLE.com.
Great. And we'll have links for that and everything below. Genevieve, thanks again so much for being here. And I'm so excited to be rapping with you about this in about a month.
I know. Thank you so much.
Yay. Thanks, honey.
Yep. Bye.